Alright guys, we're back on the Studebaker, so we're going to get this frame cleaned up today and we're going to get it ready to put the engine in. By the time we're done, we should have the arms on, the spindles, and the front end all put back together. We'll be ready to put an engine in this on the next episode, I hope. Alright guys, so I've got this pretty well cleaned up the way I want it. I'm going to take a wire wheel and stuff, get all the rust and everything off the frame so I can paint it. And then we're going to get into putting the control arms and stuff on. So next step is getting the frame cleaned up. Alright guys, I got this frame pretty much cleaned up how I want it. So what I need to do now, there's a couple little spots I need to weld. But I have some rust stopper I need to put on here, and it says it needs to sit for 24 hours before you paint it. So I'm going to clean this off. I'm going to rust stop it because I don't have the energy to weld it tonight. There's only like 2 little holes that I got to weld and it'll be good. So I'm going to spray the whole thing with rust stopper, and then tomorrow night I'll probably weld up those holes, grind them smooth, and paint it. That way the rust stopper's on there and can get set in. I've got most of the rust off, but there is still a little bit like on the inside of the frame rails and stuff. So I'll bring you in, give you a little bit of a closer look here of what I've done this evening. So you can see I've got this. Got these all smoothed out. There's a little hole here and one there that I need to weld. But you can see, got this pretty well cleaned up real nice. We're going to get it cleaned up and put some stop rust on it and let it sit overnight. Alright guys, got that all cleaned up with some brake and parts cleaner, easiest way to do it. So now I'm just going to let that dry for a minute, and then I got some rust stopper we'll spray on here. Alright guys, that's what I got. Rust cutter, I've used it quite a few different things and it works good. So we're going to go ahead and get this sprayed down. Alright guys, that's all there is to it, and that's going to do it for tonight. I'm beat. Been to work all day, then I came home and worked on this, so I'm going to hit the sack take a shower, then I'm going to hit the sack, and we'll be back at it tomorrow or the next day, whenever I have time to work on it. Alright guys, we got this frame, got that rust stopper on it. I'm not sure how well you can see it because the lighting in here kind of sucks, but I'm going to paint it with some of this rust reformer. If I shut the door you could see it a lot better because it wouldn't be blocking my light, but the problem is ventilation. This is a rust stopper primer. Not that it's that rusty, but I figure I just well do everything I can to keep it from rusting again. I don't think it's going to at this point, but well, not for many years. Alright, it's looking better. Now we just gotta let this dry, then we'll put the paint on it. Alright guys, so we got this thing all painted up, and we're ready to start putting control arms on here. I forgot I was gonna have to weld the one piece on the control arm. I'm gonna have to touch that up after we weld it. But I got some new control arms here, and we're gonna take a look at those. Of course, the guy was so excited, couldn't help but just open up this box when he first got it. So this isn't the first time I'm seeing these, but it is new. We got these new tubular control arms that are going to be going on this rig. One of the best things about these, this looks like it's the one for the other side, and yeah, this has to be the one for the other side, but it's got these tabs that weld onto the back of this cross member, which eliminates the strut rod, which is going to be nice because those were a hassle last time. They kept breaking and I kept having issues with them, so that's going to save us some time. So I'm going to get these mounted up and put on the truck here. Then we're going to weld these, and we'll probably see about getting these control arms painted. Alright, so I had to go get a drill bit to drill these out because they weren't big enough for the new control arms. Now I gotta get this spacer put in here. Alright guys, so apparently this is too wide for this cross member. I'm going to have to go in and cut it right there to make it work. This must be wider than the standard ones. So anyway, that's what we're gonna have to do. Factory. Alright, we just got to let this thing cool down and then we'll put it up there. Alright guys, that looks like it ought to work. We just got to get the other side done now. So yeah, I've got a new rack and pinion, new rotors, bearings, springs, but I can't put the springs on yet because I'm waiting for the spring insulators that go down here. So I'm going to get those welded up. Put a couple welds on that brake pedal over there that need it. There's a couple holes in the frame I need to weld still, so while I have the welder out, and then get those ground off. But then we'll get these painted. That's our next step. Alright guys, we got everything all welded in, and now I'm going to put some primer on these so that we can paint them. Alright, I'm going to let that dry. Be back in 30 minutes to put the paint on it. Alright guys, we're going to start putting this front end together today. We're going to get the springs put in. We're going to get the rotors put on, all that good stuff, so it's ready to put tires on it, so that we can get ready to put the engine back in it. Alright guys, got this side put in. Man, it is hot out here today. Got this side put in. I got to put the shock on, put the rotor on, and then we'll be ready to do the other side. I had to use that strap to strap the upper and lower control arm together, because with no engine in there, there's not enough weight. It kept picking the truck up. But anyway, I'm going to get the rest of this done. So I ran into a bit of an issue. These are too wide to fit between here on these by about just barely. So I'm gonna have to shave just a little bit off of here to make these shocks work. Alright guys, we're ready for a rotor. I packed the bearings and everything on these already. I had those others on it. I got these brand new ones just because I wanted it to be nice and fresh. My battery went dead there, sorry about that. I just had to squish that caliper in just a little. They didn't have her all the way in from the factory. Alright guys, we got the brakes done on this side. We're going to do the other side and we'll put the rack and pinion in it. So I'm probably not going to show this side because it's just more of the same. Then I'll show it to you when we're finished. Alright guys, we got both brakes on, the control arms, spring, shocks. We're ready for a rack and pinion. So that's what we're going to do next. I got to go find the bolts. They're somewhere back there in a blue tote. Alright, we're ready for put this rack and pinion back in. Now I was going to do a new one, but I couldn't find one just like this unless it was $400 or more. And this one's basically new, so I just painted it and I'm going to put it back on. And it'll do the job just fine. Alright, now I've got some new tie rod ends I'm going to put on here, and I got to get rid of those hoses, and I got to get rid of that. I just figured it'd be easier to do it once it was bolted on. Alright guys, we got the front end all put together, rack and pinions on, everything's where it's supposed to be. Next step's going to be getting the engine in, so next time you see us we'll be starting to work on that. I got to move some stuff out of the garage so I can get it set out and get the motor and trans mated together. We'll slide that in and get our mounts built. Alright guys, if you like what you see, give us a thumbs up, like, share, subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.